Hello YouTube and welcome to another review, and this time we have HELLER's Panzer Grenadiers, and this set contains about 48 pieces, as it says quite clearly on the box. World War II Panzer Grenadier, obviously they were highly mechanised infantry units with quite a vast assortment of weapons, numerous SS divisions. Normally they'd be in trucks, but if possible they'd always prefer the old half tracks, which I think a lot of people remember quite a lot, but they weren't available in great numbers, so those romantic images you see of all these half tracks everywhere, they were quite hard to come by. So normally these troops would be in trucks and other sort of vehicles similar to that. This is a bit of a bizarre set. It's a combination of CAESAR figures and ITALERI Panzer Grenadiers. This would be the first time I've seen CAESAR figures up close. And I checked out obviously the Bible Plastic Soldier review, and it wasn't too impressed with this set, but I thought it's only about a fiver, £5. So it's got to be good value in any case, but they said there was sort of moulding issues with this, and you know, obviously not so great. But the price, I thought, let's have a look at it, and I thought it's interesting. When I was a kid, you'd go to the shops and you'd buy maybe some German soldiers or British soldiers. Next time you wanted more British infantry or whatever, you'd buy a set, and maybe it was from a different manufacturer. You get them home, take them out of the box, and they're a different colour. And when you're young, and obviously your folks don't like paint going everywhere, you don't paint them, you just play with them. And they never quite match up. They're the same units from the same country, but the colours were always a bit off. So this set kind of gets round that in that fact, which to me is not bad. It's a kind of good idea. If all manufacturers kept the colour the same, how easy it would be. It would just be great. But I've had a close look at these. I'd be interested to get the CAESAR set and the ITALERI just to compare how bad the mouldings are with this actual set from HELLER. I don't know how they acquired these. I'm presuming they just maybe offer some money and rent the moulds, or buy them off them and see how it goes. I don't know how it quite works and how they come by these moulds. I've got no idea, but we'll take a look at this and just see. So on the box we've got kind of what looks like a later war German unit. He's got his MG42. They've all got Mausers, but they haven't got obviously the much later weapons, which would be you know, your sort of automatic rifles, which were rare but coming available towards the end. Like I say, another romantic image of these sort of units. This one's quite clearly a Wehrmacht unit. There's no real SS markings on this, although the SS did like a Panzer Grenadier unit. On the back we have, basically it's pretty much a smudgy looking picture of a German Panzer Grenadier. Now this one, it's obviously a figure that they've blown up and painted. Doesn't come across that well, but I mean, it's not bad, but you know, I think I prefer drawing, really would be more accurate. What I do like is it gives you a proper size of the figure, which I think is very, very important. Instead of just saying, oh yeah, it's 172 or 176, they're actually saying here, look, this is 25mm. So that helps a lot of people, because often I get questions as to, you know, will this unit look good against my 176 tank or whatever. And you know, it is handy if people do know these things, because a lot of people 172, they think they're getting 172 and then the figures are slightly smaller or bigger. So you know, I quite like that. That's good. The box is from Amazon, so it got a little bit crushed, but inside it just has, it folds out like this, and then inside you just have instructions as how to paint these figures and stuff like that. It advises leaving them on the sprue and just using that as the sort of holding device to paint them. and obviously you'll trim them off and then just paint the tops of the helmets or the stands as such. So that's all that's contained. So as such, the box does sort of come apart in a strange way, which is part of the reason when it comes through the letterbox it does sort of fall apart quite quickly. But the artwork's quite good, quite like it, to be honest. You know, it looks kind of, they look a bit tentative there, but they look like they're just sort of plotting maybe an ambush or something, who knows, but I think it's quite good. And nothing remarkable on the sides or anything, and we get no visible write-up. No. So that is the box. Oh! First sprue. And let's take a little look. See if we can go a little bit. Dun, dun, dun. Let's keep the light on that. And let's go for a zoom. So let's start on the top line. Now I believe the guy throwing the grenade is a CAESAR figure, and he looks a bit odd. The head looks a bit long-necked. I've checked on the website and that does seem to feature in the original mould of the actual CAESAR set, although I would prefer to have that set to just review it and just to make sure that that is the case. But yeah, it does look a little bit odd in the neck region. The head looks very small, and then, you know, it just looks raised up on the tunic. So I initially thought that might be just a one-off, maybe it's been broken, but it's not. That is how it is. So that's a bit of a ne point. The guy on the left next to him, he seems to have rather large hands around his Mauser. But you know, there is a bit of detail there, but it still looks a little bit clunky. They seem to have like a jackboot on when you'd think it would be a boot with possibly a spat, but it could be just the detail is just not there for that. Just coming along. I mean, they have equipment on them, which is pretty good. But it's not like, it's not jumping out at me. I mean, that's supposed to be, say, an MP40 or whatever. It just looks like a stick that he's holding there. So I wouldn't exactly say that was great. Yeah, again, just a little bit. A little bit sort of clunky. There's that Grenadier again. You can see him and it just doesn't look quite right to me. And the CAESAR set that I reviewed, it also looked quite similar. So I think that's probably a feature of CAESAR, and then the rest of it I think is just where it looks a bit clunky is a bit of their moulding. I think a couple of these here, these are from the ITALERI set. This guy, for instance, on the wall, he's definitely ITALERI, I remember him. No problem there. And like I say, his MG40, I don't think it's as nice as what it would be if you actually bought the actual correct box, which would be ITALERI's Panzer Grenadiers. It's just a little bit flashy and wobbly. Although for the price, I mean, if you trim these up and spend a little bit of time maybe filing and things like that, these won't look too bad. The officer is really good, and that's the best part of this set. I think the officer is really good, and you can quite clearly see he's got his MP40 and he's got some nice magazines, his binoculars. Lovely sort of riding pants there. These ones again, I think they're ITALERI again. But again, the detail's not as crisp, I think, as what the actual sets are. But for the price, it's up to you, isn't it? You can pay something a little bit cheaper, maybe try and tidy it up. Let's have a look at the rear. Now the rear is a bit of a different kettle of fish. I quite like the rear on this. So let's have a look. Quite a bit of equipment on there. Now these top ones I'm presuming are the CAESAR ones, and it's still coming through quite well. I do think there is issues with whatever HELLER are doing with this moulding. It's not coming through as crisply as what it probably does in the real things, but until I get the actual figures from CAESAR or ITALERI, then the jury's out. I'm just going on reputation for that. And you can see there the Grenadier looks much better from the back, which is a real disappointment. So you see there, if I got that figure, I'd be fairly happy. You know, wouldn't have any issue. Now you turn him around. Let's find him. There he is. You know, I'm sorry, he just looks a bit odd. So, ne point. And like I say, you see the size of the hands on the guy next to him. That's just, you know, and the head again looks a bit odd. So there's definitely some sizing problems with this set. That's undoubtedly the factor in this. But again, I love any soldiers like this and they've got bags of equipment on the back. I always love that. I just think that's what people want. And these guys have it. Very nice. Let's come up a bit. There's our officer again. And still from the back he looks good. This guy looks good. And obviously that's our German again, which we've already seen with this MG40. So I don't know, with these ones for the price, I'd say they're not bad. You know, certainly in terms of equipment, you're not going to get anything like this from Airfix. And Airfix are normally the ones unbeatable on price, but just with other sort of sacrifices. Airfix do turn out some cracking sets, and then they do turn out some, you know, rather ordinary sets. But you know, Airfix, to my knowledge, did not have Panzer Grenadiers, that's for sure. But it's around about the Airfix price, so, you know, I think you'd have to decide. And there again, you see that guy there with the rifle, the hand just looks way big. So I think as a kid, I'd have been quite happy with these, to be honest. But if I was starting to get a little bit older, you know, into my teens and things, I'll probably start thinking, well, these ones aren't really cutting it because I want to paint them and make them look good. Yeah, I think you'd have a lot of work to do to make these guys look appropriate, and you'd probably be better off buying the actual originals. But I say with the Grenadier, I'm absolutely certain, from what I've seen on the pictures, the CAESAR Grenadier has the same issue with that head. There's another guy with field glasses, so I mean he could be an officer as well. The wall, I mean, it's a bit of a sort of lazy sort of pose, that one, where he's, you know, he's on the wall. It doesn't really look comfortable, like he's actually using that wall to any great effect. To be honest, if he was holding it like that and without the wall, I'd probably actually favour that pose. I realise it'd be hard to fire, but it would look like he's sort of quite primed and ready. There's another one. He's a little bit flashy, and now I believe both sprues, yeah, So both sprues are exactly the same. So I've got 2 sprues of those guys there, and it looks like it's possible the lower half are ITALERI and the higher half are CAESAR, and they actually do form up quite well. You couldn't really notice much difference, so for that I think they get quite a couple of points there. I think it's quite a good sort of way to do it, but you've got to pull it off, and it's unfortunate if these mouldings had just been a little bit better and there was less flash, and you know, this would be quite a good set. So I guess it's up to whoever's buying to decide what do you want. So rating wise, I don't know, I think price beats, you know, price is a big factor with these, and I think these were only about 4 or 5 quid. It was quite cheap, so you know, for price I'd say out of 10 I'd give these guys 6, which I think is quite a decent assessment really. I've got no idea if Heller do this with other products, I don't know, but and that's probably the best guy in there. So like I say, I got these on Amazon. They were about £4 or £5. I got them a while ago, so I'm sorry I can't remember fully what the price is. But it's just entirely up to you. If you think they're worth snapping up, then snap them up. But yeah, price I thought was very, very reasonable. And like I say, these are 2 sets, CAESAR and ITALERI. Panzer Grenadiers put in the same box, but like I say, you'd probably be equally at home with either one of the other sprues. The ITALERI one sort of nudges it a bit. There's quite a lot of equipment with that set, so you know, I'd probably say if I was going to get Panzer Grenadiers, it might be them, although they are spoilt by the fact they're dressed in sort of heavy winter clothing, so might put some people off if they want to use them in a particular environment. But that was my review of Heller's Panzer Grenadiers, which has been a long time coming really, because I've had this for a while. And like I say, they're on Amazon, they're on eBay, they're everywhere, so if you like them, pick it up. If you're interested, pick them up. It'll only cost you 4 or 5 quid, so it's not bad. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the next review. Thank you. Bye.